chest muscles. Right, so you have the chest muscles. They have it cut nice and neatly here. Pectoantebrachialis is the top chest muscle that you were responsible for looking for. The fibers go directly into the midline, so it is perpendicular to the midline. So pectoantebrachialis up here. The next muscle that kind of goes at a V is the pectoralis major. The fibers are starting to run at an angle into the midline, and it makes this nice V. But it's a kind of a very wide V when you talk about the pectoralis major. The next one underneath is the pectoralis minor, coming all the way up underneath the armpit, coming about midway down here in the through the cat. So it's right at the base of where the chest cavity ends and the abdomen starts is the pectoralis minor, and then there is still some fat and stuff like that on theirs, but the xiphohumerales is usually darker colored, and it's the last chest muscle, and it comes in more at a regular shaped V where it's not as wide. All right, and so the xiphohumerales is not part of humans. That is a difference between cats and humans that you had to highlight. So pectoantebrachialis, pectoralis major, pectoralis minor, and then the xiphohumerales, the fibers run at the most extreme angle that you can in the chest region. Now, the latissimus dorsi comes up underneath here on the arm, but I will probably have it identified on the back instead because it is so much larger on the back and you can see it much easier. But it does come up underneath the arm here. All right. Then we go to the abdominal muscles. Again, the only abdominal muscle you really can see is the external oblique, and it's huge on both sides. Again, oblique is running at an angle, and the external oblique, the fibers are running from top to bottom. When I flip back the external oblique, you see lower the internal oblique. Those are also running at an angle, but the fibers are running from bottom to top. So literally the angles on the obliques, external and internal, crisscross one another. But you do not see the internal oblique until I pull back the external oblique. Now, in a lot of your cats, as I walked around the room, it was really hard to see the transversus abdominis because you have all of this, and I will definitely ask this area is called the aponeuroses, that big tendon sheath. So that aponeuroses sits over all the rest of the muscles. But the transversus abdominis actually is this one right here. It runs in underneath the internal oblique and into the rectus abdominis. The rectus abdominis sits right in the middle of the abdomen. And again, it's not easy, but the rectus abdominis, the fibers are running up and down, parallel. That's the dark muscle that's right in the middle that is kind of hard to see because of the aponeuroses, but they have taken the aponeuroses off here a little bit so you can see the rectus abdominis. External oblique, internal oblique, transversus abdominis, the fibers are running into the midline, rectus abdominis right in the middle of the cat, and that's the parallel fiber, the fibers are running parallel. And then that line is the linea alba that's separating both sides of your abdominal muscles. Questions? Okay, it's going to be a little bit difficult in the neck region because of the way they prepare the cat and the way they cut it. Some of you guys really struggled finding the sternomastoid. The sternomastoid on this cat is right here. This big, huge vessel is the jugular vein. It's one of your biggest ones, okay? Now, the sternomastoid comes in from where the jugular is and down here to the sternum. The fibers run at an angle a little bit into the sternum. So this right here that they have cut is the sternomastoid. Remember, you did not have to find the clitomastoid because it's too much with this, but I will ask the question, what two muscles unite into one into humans? So the sternomastoid and the cleidomastoid make up the sternocleidomastoid in humans. Alrighty. Then we come up underneath here, and you have the digastric. The digastric actually makes an upside down V if you're looking at it from this direction. You have muscle coming from the left and the right, and it comes up under the chin into a V. So here's your digastric on each end. And then in the middle of the digastric, above the transverse jugular, is the mylohyoid. So digastric and then the mylohyoid. Up here, this muscle that has a white sheath, that's all tendon. Right on the jaw is the masseter. It's really on a hard bone because that's going to be the mandible right there. So the masseter's right here, and then the temporalis, if I just have a pin up here above the masseter, that's going to be the temporalis. Again, it's really hard to see because of this white tendon sheath. But masseter on the jawbone, temporalis up here above it. Okay? Sternohyoid, directly on top of the trachea. This muscle sits right on top of the trachea. The trachea is right here, the windpipe. The sternohyoid is there, and then the sternothyroid is actually going to be right off to the side of, your sternohyoid, and that's your sternothyroid. So you guys try to remember, your hyoid bone sits right above on top of your trachea. So that's why the sternohyoid is the muscle right on the trachea. You have 2 thyroid glands on each side of your trachea. So the thyroid, the sternothyroid, is off to the side of the trachea. And I will try to find the muscle that is not on the cut side, because this side, it really is kind of all cut up and destroyed. So sternohyoid right on top of it, sternothyroid right here, right next to it. I think that's everything in the neck region. Okay? Now, will I possibly put a pin in the clavobrachialis more than once? And it is a possibility, because you can see the clavobrachialis in the front. That's this muscle that's right below the neck that's coming all the way out to your elbow joint, but it sits on top of the shoulders. So the clavobrachialis is this muscle that sits on top of the shoulder and comes out, and you can see it on the back of the cat too. So it is a possibility that I actually have this identified twice. Okay? So clavobrachialis, sternomastoid, sternohyoid, sternothyroid off to the side, digastric, 2 muscles coming to a V, mylohyoid in between, masseter on top of the jaw, and temporalis up here by the eye. Good?
Yep.
Okay. You guys want to take a break? Get your phones.